All right, y'all. Republicans, they're trying to find anything to discredit Fulton County DA Fani WIllis. Of course, Fani WIllis and Nathan Wade, one of the top prosecutors in the Georgia election interference case against Donald Trump and 18 others. They're going to have to testify at an upcoming evidentiary hearing set to examine allegations that they were involved in an improper relationship while investigating Donald Trump. WIllis acknowledged the relationship, but said it did not influence the case. Georgia Republicans are figuring out how they can try to impeach the prosecutor. In fact, the state is also launching a committee to investigate Fani WIllis. Joining me now, Milan, to discuss all of this that WIllis is facing is attorney J. Edward Shipp. So, Attorney Shipp, glad to have you here. First of all, do you do any business with the Georgia DA's office?
So I've had a couple of cases in front of the Georgia DA's office, to be honest with you, Mr. Martin. Okay,
so but you're not like a special prosecutor or whatever. So just want to establish that.
No, we don't have that.
So here's the first thing, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Fani WIllis, it was dumb to pick somebody she's having a relationship with to be on the team. I'm going to say that. Bottom line, anybody knows that this is a high-level case that everybody's paying attention to. What you do in cases like this, you want to be above board. You don't want there to be any sort of anything that can get in the way of this. And the reality is, her decision to pick Nathan Wade, in my estimation, is the reason we even having all these conversations, and this is a screw up on her part, because none of these discussions would be happening if she did not pick him. Be involved with whoever you want to be involved with, but the moment you bring your relationship to work, it's a problem. Your thoughts?
All right, so I will agree with you. Yes, this is one of those cases whereas you have to be on your P's and Q's to make sure that any semblance of impartiality or anything like that cannot be brought up. And yes, there was a mistake in this in which she did bring her partner to work with her. But again, we have to be mindful of the fact that this black woman is basically being singled out for these things just to muddy the waters. It's not necessarily a situation of any of this being a detriment to Roman's constitutional rights. There's no detriment to former President Trump's constitutional rights. All it is his attorneys are trying, Roman's attorneys are trying to do whatever they can to muddy the water. And now you have Steve Sadow, who's come in, joined in on this motion, bringing up the fact that she talked about it in church, one of our own beloved institutions in which we can normally bring our grievances to the altar.
Who is this Steve dude? Who is this?
Okay, so Steve Sadow is a local Atlanta attorney. He's representing Donald Trump in this particular matter, and that's who's his attorney for his Georgia case.
Got it. So, but let's be clear. You're an attorney. Look,
yes,
you do what you got to do to try to get your client off. So, I mean, the bottom line is that's what you do. So again, I think there's a difference between being rightfully critical of the actions of Fani WIllis, separate from, I think it's utterly ridiculous the Republicans in Georgia are creating this committee. You've got to investigate her. Now you've got Republicans in Congress trying to subpoena her to come testify as well. And so what you really have here are, outside of the attorneys for those who have been indicted, what you really have are people on the outside trying to do all they can to get Donald Trump and his followers off from being going to trial in this case. That's what's going on.
I would agree with you. You know, you have Jim Jordan, who came and tried to subpoena her when this first started. And he was saying, you know, I want to see what's going on in this investigation. And she let him know, you cannot interfere in this investigation. So, yes, I do understand your point and your point of contention in which, yes, it was a boneheaded move. And now you have all this scrutiny on it. But at the very bottom line, for those of us in the know, you, other attorneys, people who actually know what's going on, we see that none of this has any substance. It's just basically a sideshow, a soap opera sideshow to say, pay attention to this. He's guilty of sin, but pay attention to this. This is what you need to focus on. They stole the taxpayers' money. They did all of this. All of these things that have nothing to do with whether or not their client is innocent or guilty.
And look, I just think that, again, what you don't want to do is you don't want to create any of the drama that takes away from the attention on the case. That's exactly what happened here. Now she has to, now at the end of the day, her actions are causing all of this, and you got to just deal with it as it is dealt. So you're going to have to now go through it now because of bad decisions.
Yes, sir. That's correct. I can't disagree with you on that one, man.
Well, we'll see what happens. Again, we'll be watching this. And look, I don't think, first of all, it's nonsensical to think that because they had a relationship that you should be throwing all the charges out. But it is causing unnecessary delays in the trial. Final comment, go ahead.
Thank you.
No, go ahead with your final comment. Go ahead.
Oh, final comment. So I look at this and I see everything as far as, like you said, they're trying whatever they can to throw it at the wall to see what may stick. They're saying, well, she did this, it was unconstitutional, he shouldn't have been sworn in. All of these things that have gone before a judge before, and the judge said, no, it's not something that is going to make this case go away. So to continue to try it and to continue to try and muddy those waters, that's exactly what they're doing. I hate to see it. I hate that she's going through it, but this is something of her own machination, so we got to deal with it. All
right, Ben. Attorney Shipp, appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Scott, I want to go to you. And I've seen a lot of people talk about this here. And look, this ain't got nothing to do with attacking a black woman, attacking a woman, whatever. No, Fani made a dumb decision, should have thought about this, should have seen this through, and she has brought this on by picking her lover as one of the top prosecutors on arguably one of the most high-profile cases in the country.
It's like, what were you thinking? How did you think that you were going to hide this from the public or the media, but more importantly, the defense counsel? Whether it was innuendo, whether it was scuttlebutt, hearsay, what you are prosecuting. This is going to be the trial of the century, of 2 centuries. You're prosecuting a former president who's running for office. You could not have thought that this wasn't relevant or was appropriate or material.
No president in American history no former president in American history has been indicted.
Right.
He's now he has 4 cases. You're one of the 4. You arguably have the strongest case.
Exactly. And look, you know I love the but-for test, right? But for her appointing her paramour, who has questionable experience in political corruption cases. That's another part that is raising eyebrows, which is why you get investigated. Has questionable experience from a white-collar criminal defense standpoint, and he's one of the lead prosecutors in this type of high-profile trial. Why would you put him in that place? You can love him, you can do whatever you want with him, but he doesn't have to be the lead prosecutor because he's got good judgment or because he's a smart attorney. That's the other reason why she's being investigated. But you could not have thought that this was going to be hidden. Now, granted, it's a distraction, but you drove this distraction with a poor judgment decision. And I consider Fani a friend of mine. I've raised money for her recently within the last 6 months and stuff. It's very disappointing. Now, last one, for your listening audience. When they go to investigate you, it's triggered all these investigations, which probably ultimately aren't going to find anything unless a political decisions are made, and they will be. But now you've got these investigations, and you don't want regulators or the FBI or anyone to start investigating you, especially if you're black or brown, Because while they may not find anything wrong with this appointment and the money and the relationship, they may find other things, right? Prosecutions and investigations are about discretion, right? The IRS can look at your tax return and say, in their discretion, okay, we're going to treat this civilly. Another prosecutor or IRS agent could look at it and treat it as a criminal offense simply because they have discretion. This is a very dangerous position for her to be in. And then lastly, she won't recuse herself. She won't throw her paramour off the case. He should step down.
Yep.
And then lastly, this is even more important, that she put him on this case when he's in the middle of a divorce, which meant she was a witness to their divorce perhaps, but that's another parallel civil proceeding whereby she was subpoenaed, could have been subpoenaed before all this came out. They settled that case, but they delayed in getting this off the front pages. And you know how to get it off the front pages, make it go away. Have him resign from the prosecution team. She may or may not recuse herself, but you got to do damage control once you make poor decisions like this. And none of that's occurred, or it's not occurred in a timely fashion. That would be my best advice to her and her team right now.
I saw you shaking your head, Rebecca.
You know, in the past, I've done crisis management for elected officials, and there's many boneheaded things that I've seen. You know, I'm going to give a piece of advice out for listeners, and especially for elected officials who are watching this. If you are involved in something that's high stakes, i.e. you're a prosecutor and you are prosecuting a high-profile case, if you're running in a competitive election, something to consider is that your opponents probably have you on under some type of surveillance. They're watching where you go, what's your normal patterns, who's going in and out of your home. And you need to know that. So for Fani WIllis to be prosecuting the former president of the United States, arguably, she's the only person that's standing between him and the Oval Office again, is this particular case. So she should have known anything that she does in her personal or her professional life was now going to be under scrutiny. And think about who all of Trump's allies are. He has allies domestic and he has allies internationally. When we even look at what happened in 2016, what even happened in 2020 with allegations of Russia and other countries helping to support his presidency. So she had to have known, or should have known, that all of those forces and resources behind Trump would also turn towards her. Yeah. And so she should have lived in such a way to be above any type of reproof of understanding, hey, you're in the big leagues now. It's just not good enough to show up in a power suit, have your hair done, you know, be in front of the media. But this is high stakes. This isn't just, you know, for her career, but this arguably for the presidency.
First of all, dude used to be in the Oval Office. He's running for president right now, okay? He is the Republican leader. The entire Republican apparatus is coming after you. This is where you sit here and you say, everybody who's on the team, ain't nobody with a tax lien.
Right, exactly.
First of all, you vet every person on your team. You say, ain't nobody related, ain't nobody screwing, everybody's taxes are up to date, you have paid your water bill, you have paid your light bill, you have not attended any fundraisers, you don't give the campaign. You have a squeaky clean team because, and again, I am not an attorney, but I'm smart enough to say, we can't give them anything to question.
That's right. That's right. And Roland, you know what? I tell you, I would supplement friendly amendment to my colleague. Self-investigate yourself.
Yes.
I know that's a double whatever. Forgive me. Self-investigate yourself, because I ran for office in 2006. I did a self-investigation. I had private investigators investigate me and give me your report. Because this is even worse.
But Scott, people who run for office, they literally hire people to say, that's right, your job is to do opposition research. You go investigate me and you bring me the file of the stuff that they gonna use against me.
That's right.
One of the first things is who you're sleeping with.
Roland, I sat down with a candidate who was an elected official who was running for Congress. And in running for Congress, he was running for a very competitive seat, which impacted which party, Democrats or Republicans, were actually going to control the House. And one of the things, I sat down with him and his wife, and I told him, hey, you candidate, if you currently are having an affair, you got to keep whatever it is that you're doing right now. You have to keep up whatever it is that you're doing. Don't change anything for the next 9 months because we're in the big leagues now. I sat with him and his wife and explained that. I don't care what y'all do inside the four walls of your house, but as soon as it goes outside of the house, now that impacts me, that impacts the campaign. So one thing that I tell these people in these particular positions is you got to fight like this because they are coming after you, because the easiest way to defeat this case is to break down Fani and to break down Nathan. Just like my colleague said, fire him. You don't need Nathan. Nathan's billing the most out of the entire team. So at this point, he kind of is dead weight, and he doesn't even have the credentials or the background to be your number one biller on this type of a case in terms of billable hours. So at this point, cut bait. And like what Scott said, it makes sense if she did step back because this case is strong enough that any competent prosecutor can move it forward. So don't jeopardize this case.
Let me tell y'all something. That was a dude named Cal Cunningham, who was the Democratic nominee for the United States Senate out of North Carolina. Cal Cunningham was leading Tom Willis around 3 or 4 points. Then all of a sudden, what happened? The news came out that Cal Cunningham was having an affair, and somehow the signal messages got out. Now, and text messages, but now here's the whole deal. Okay, Signal is an encrypted app. It's phone to phone. So the only way you can't tap into Signal. Okay?
I have it on my phone.
So the only way a Signal message got out is either you took a screenshot and saved it, or somebody else did, or the person you talking to didn't put disappearing messages and they left everything on there and took their phone into a store or whatever and somebody saw it. That's the only way. That's the only way. Yeah. This fool, he does this here, and then what happens? Boom, numbers go down. He ends up losing because of that. If you are Fani WIllis, you have to say nothing, and you're absolutely right. It's like right now. So I saw the story. She's now trying to squash the subpoenas. This came out. Breaking: Fulton County DA Fani WIllis moves to quash. Hold on one second. I'm gonna pull this tweet up. Give me a second. Here we go. Fulton County DA Fani WIllis moves to quash subpoenas to testify that were served her and several members of her staff ahead of February 15th hearing on whether she should be disqualified from the prosecuting Trump and others. Additionally, the DA moves to quash a subpoena served on Nathan Wade's former law partner. Come on, y'all, go to my iPad. Thank you. Served on Nathan Wade's former law partner, Terrence Bradley, as well as a subpoena for the production of Wade's financial information from Synovus Bank. All right, this is real simple. You're Fani WIllis. You have been publicly saying to people, no, our relationship began before we began the investigation. You know what you just now open up? We now are going to call all staffers and others and ask them, did you see the two of them kiss? You see the two of them holding hands? Did you see the two of them have any interaction before the investigation starts? If one of them says, now the Trump people have already put out that now again, this is opposition lawyers. They do this all the time. But the Trump lawyers are claiming they have two witnesses who claim they were together after this whole thing started. I mean, it's also. But again, Fani, you created all of this, and you're absolutely right. Go to him and say, man, you my lover. Hey, things are great between us, but you off this case.
Right.
You're off the
Deuces.
case. To sit here and still be fighting to keep your man on the case, and he's been paid in excess of $650,000. They are using that against you. So the story no longer is about the case, no longer about the actions of Trump. Now, you have now focused all of the attention, and guess what? In your mind, Fani WIllis might think, hey, we can beat this thing. But you are creating the distraction. And when you are the prosecutor, the DA, what do you tell your entire team? Don't be a distraction. Don't go out and get a DUI. Don't go out and sit here and slap your girlfriend around in public. Don't sit here and cuss out somebody at the store, because you become the story and not the case.
But Roland, one other point, though, that we haven't talked about. This plays into Trump's hand of delay.
Yes.
Now, this was going to go last anyway, but now it's going to be further delayed because these investigations and these motion practices about her and this relationship.
And listen,
Trump is winning now.
And this is what's so stupid.
Winning.
I got some fool on YouTube, Akeem Smith. Roland, it's her own business, her personal life. No, fool. Let me explain something to you. It ain't your personal life when the person you sleeping with, you hire on the special prosecution team and pay them $654,000 of taxpayer money. Your personal life now becomes public business.
Roland. So just hey, for Mr. Smith, just to give you some context, presidential elections cost billions of dollars. Billions of dollars is spent. Billions of dollars is on the line. We don't just have American operatives trying to influence the outcome of the election. We have foreign operatives.
That's right.
We have billions and billions of dollars in foreign money that's trying to impact the election. So at that point, there is nothing, this is her personal life. Look, I get it. Dating in Atlanta could be very tough, and you find love where you can find love. However, this ain't it. This is not going to work well for any of them.
Wait. Here's the deal. Ain't nobody say get rid of your man. But you got to kick him off the team.
Well,
and if the love will survive this.
You can still date the man. Y'all can go out, y'all can be lovers, y'all can go dance or whatever, but he can't be on the prosecution team.
Hey, Roland, one of our mutual friends said to me last night, he said, boy, that must have been a hell of a love affair. A hell of a love affair.
It must have been a hell of a cruise, because according to the documents, they went to the Caribbean and cruised.
Hey, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care how good he is. I don't care.
You don't care that he put that Nathan on her?
I don't care. If the theme song is Aaliyah's Rock the Boat, I don't care what it is. I do not care. What you do not do is allow anything to get in the way of one of the biggest trials in American history. The Donald Trump trial, if it goes to trial, will be 10 times as bigger than O.J. Simpson.
Yeah.
And Christopher Darden and Marcia Clark, even though they never confirmed it, it was still one of those things out there where there were accusations that Christopher Darden and Marcia Clark, the lead prosecutors prosecuting O.J. Simpson, there were allegations that they were having an affair, and it was impacting with the choices they made with prosecuting O.J. Simpson.
But guess what? She nor Darden ever came out and said, in a court filing, yes, we knocking the boots.
Correct.
Because they didn't have to. But
the moment Fani WIllis went to that church and stood in that pulpit and talked about what they do to black people and how they and didn't say no, that reminded me of when Kwame Kilpatrick was being sued by the cops in Detroit, who he fired. And he went on that stand and he was sitting here and how dare you accuse a black woman who's risen through the ranks to become chief of staff to the mayor? Why is it treating her like a Jezebel?
Well, first of all,
and he got so indignant and they let his ass finish. And they went.
First of all,
and they went.
The SkyTel pagers. You're texting your lover.
They literally went, Mayor,
pager.
are these your text messages? Allow me to read them. Baby, I'll see you in 15 minutes.
But you can't throw parties at the mayor's mansion and then there's a dance stripper. You can't do that either.
Kwame was texting his side piece on a city phone. Bruh,
how dumb can you get?
Those are public records. Those are public records.
Kwame came so close to Jay-Z's song, the one that says, all I did was put the naughty on her.
and again, I don't want to hear, and I'm gonna say, we better close this out. I'm going to a break. I don't want to hear not now, sister or brother, yo, man, this how they do the sister, this how they do the brothers. No. You were the one in control of hiring the team.
That's right.
You knew. And here's another deal. If you had hired him and then y'all working on the case, it led to y'all hooking up, the moment that happens, he still got to be off. So I don't care if y'all hooked up before the investigation or after the investigation. This impacts, and again, it impacts the cohesion of the team.
Yeah.
You sitting here, okay, what's our strategy? I don't care who you say. You on the team like, well, we know who he voting for. No, I'm just saying, so again, I see all this commentary. This is 100% on Fani WIllis. She screwed up. And she needs to right now stop trying to defend and prolong. She needs to say, Nathan, yo, we gonna still kick it, but you gotta go. You're off the team. She has to cut bait and then go for, but what you've now done, you've now opened Pandora's box. And guess what? They can run with it, and as Scott said, delay.